All right, we are recording. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pro Seller Talk Presents. This is John Bullard Sr., the host of this show. My guest today is Barbara Boshin, like the ocean, Boshin. And Barbara is, right close to the ocean, a little bit further inland in New York, and she's got about a foot of snow up there. So she's actually joining us from a snowstorm up there. So the fact that she has internet is awesome, that she's able to, join us today. I know she's got a lot of great information. She's prepared a presentation for you guys for the platform of Jet. For you that are not familiar with Jet, she's going to go over that. She's real familiar with Jet and how it works, and I'm real excited to have her here. Hey, Barbara.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you, probably a few people out there have heard this story, but I worked in corporate America for about 20 years. It was a birthday. It was a Sunday night. It was 10 o'clock at night. I was at work at the office with 20 other people, and I realized this isn't even that odd. And that was the moment, that was my epiphany, and I said, I've got to do something different. And I started by selling my kids' toys on eBay while I had the day job, and then the night job was going on eBay. And that became some retail arbitrage, which then became some more retail arbitrage. And then I knew I was getting laid off, so it became a really big retail arbitrage. And when I got laid off, between the severance package and that really, getting very committed to, became my full-time job. Fast forward a couple of years, I get suspended on Amazon. And all my great plans, I was like, how did this happen to me? I was in finance. I should know that I should be diversified, and I'm only on one platform, and I'm only doing one model. And that led to reinvigorating my eBay account, led to going on looking at different platforms. By the end of the year, we were 60% wholesale. We're actually 100% wholesale now. Well, 98% plus some private label and custom and exclusives. But the one place, I got my eBay up running very, very quickly. And I looked at some other marketplaces, but the one that really interested me was Jet, because I did some research and I learned about Mark Lore, and he was, back in the early days of the internet, he was diapers.com. And yep. He and Amazon had this big war fight over the diaper market, and subsequently Amazon bought diapers.com, bought Mark Lore, made him one of the people, executives at Amazon, and then pretty much I think he worked his term of employment, did his non-compete for wherever long that was, maybe a year, and then found himself sitting in a restaurant in Manhattan with a check in one hand for $1 million and an idea to start a competitor to Amazon. And I thought to myself, there's a lot of opportunities as e-commerce grows and builds over the year. We all think it's like this amazing giant thing, but e-commerce is very tiny still compared to overall commerce. And it's growing, it's only been 10 years, and more we hear about all the retail stores going under, but it's really just beginning. And I thought, well, I can spend time on the Sears marketplaces, but, where do I want to put my energy? Where do I see that there's potential for growth? And that's how we sort of got involved in Jet. So I went and I applied to Jet, I got approved. I went to list something and it was like crickets. There's no interface. It's like, where do I list something? I don't understand. Long story short, we looked at a couple of vendors at the time. They were very expensive, very complicated. I had no idea how this startup, he's got lots of funding, and I'll go through that a little bit on our journey of how we got to Jet. But ultimately, we ended up building, my business partner and I, who had also got suspended on Amazon. It was about 2 years ago, it was the robo suspension. That's what Cynthia Stein refers to it as. They just changed, they said, okay, all these things are okay, but now these things aren't anymore, and everybody's suspended, and they had to earn their way back in. I got turned back on in 48 hours, but it took them 3 weeks to read the email. So as soon as they read my email, they're like, oh yeah, no problem. But I was like, but help me. So, and he, oddly enough, he had a condition issue. I had a counterfeit issue. And he actually worked with me back in corporate land at a couple jobs, and had followed me off into online world when he got laid off. So between he and I, we built the interface to basically the Seller Central replacement to get on Jet. And that began our journey, and we started selling on there and then started marketing the platform so other people could do that too. But it's just so fascinating for me, given my finance background, my analytical kind of viewpoint, on how different a place it is than Amazon, potentially. So,
and I think you'll go into that a little bit after.
So that's how I got to be sitting here in a snowstorm in my house instead of heading my way to work to, but maybe they would have closed, who knows? On my jobs, they're always like, oh no, we'll be open.
So you're still working full time and doing this?
Oh no, I'm done with that. Yeah, okay. That's when I got suspended, the first thought was, oh no, how will we eat? The second thought was, oh no, I have to go back there. So yeah, so that's no, I've been full time for actually my lease is up, so for 4 years now. So
yeah, I've been full time for about 5 years now. I used to work in the corporate world. I was a manager for a multi-million-dollar showroom up north. You probably heard of from where you're from. They're actually up in that area, Raymore Flanagan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a manager up there at one of their big stores. And when I came down here to Tennessee, people just wanted to hear me talk. They didn't want me to sell to them, so I had to make a decision. And I've never looked back. I mean, we've done eBay, and when Amazon decided to go a few years back, when they decided to go to FBA, that was just a light bulb. And then, and then, like you said, and we branched out as well. I mean, we don't sell just on Amazon anymore. We sell on our own website. We also we do pretty decent on Walmart.com too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just started doing that. We're going to build the interface for that over the summer, just to accelerate it, because we meet with Jet every other week as we're approved vendors, integration vendors. And we've started to see a little bit. They don't tell us anything, but they leave a lot of sentences hanging. So we're like, okay, they invited us to build for Walmart. We already had identified it as a strategy, so that you can manage your inventory through the different platforms. So that's where we're headed. But yeah, I'm on there too. My only holdback there is it's all merchant fulfilled.
Yeah, and that's why I have a fulfillment center, and we have a lot of clients that we fulfill for Walmart and Shopify, and even Jet.com customers come here because
that makes a lot of sense.
Now that Walmart owns Jet, I mean, Amazon doesn't want it, nor does Walmart want any of Amazon's boxes going to Walmart customers. They don't like that. So you got to have other avenues and other ways to do it. So that's kind of what they do, and that's kind of how we got started in our fulfillment center, changing it from an Amazon fulfillment center to a e-commerce type fulfillment center. But I'm gonna let you start your presentation now. So we've got all these people here.
Okay.
I'm sure they're anxious to learn what you have to say.
Okay. All right. Hang on a second. You have to give me the screen, right? Somehow.
Yeah, there's a green thing down there that says share screen on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm trying to get to the right screen before I share my screen. Okay, no, that's not gonna work. Okay. Share screen, and that's gonna ask me which one. All right. Is this blank one? Let's see what happens when I go there. Just change it if it's not. Well, let's see.
Okay, I see a white screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, I was down the screen a bit. Okay. So in the interest of time, feel free to interrupt me if I've covered something too quickly. This is only about 30 minutes when I don't do too many tangents. I'm the queen of tangents. So as I was saying, Jet, we looked at different places that we wanted to sell on, and one of the things I thought was really meaningful about Jet was how different it was. So Amazon has left open a lot of doors and a lot of windows for the counterfeiters and for people doing some things that are price-wise and map and a lot of different things where Jet has, and I think because of Mark Lor's background, where Jet has kind of closed those doors. So we'll talk about it in a second. So this is my quote: "Every champion was a contender that refused to give up." And you got to understand, Jet is tiny compared to Amazon. And at the time that we first started doing this sort of presentation, there was no Walmart buy for $3.3 billion, which definitely changes things a little bit. So at the time we were looking to go on to Jet and figure out where we wanted to get, really start investing our time, because, it can be on a lot of different platforms, but they all take time to monitor and manage.
Right.
And we had seen how much funding Jet had from all these different companies. Their business model is very different. They're all about getting as much stuff into that cart and that shopping trip as possible. In fact, I'll show you an interesting note on that. Then Walmart, of course, bought them for $3.3 billion, so it became sort of a non-brainer that there's going to be funding for a long time. And then this last bullet is, we're at, like I was saying before, we're at the beginning of where e-commerce is going to go, and what it looked like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and what it'll look like in 5, 6, 7 years from now will just be dramatically different. It changes like every 6 months, something tremendous happens. So this is a little quick overview of their funding. Obviously, they have a lot of people believing that they can, and they don't have to beat Amazon. They just have to, like Hertz and Avis. They have both have very viable businesses. Amazon and Jet, Amazon and Walmart. There's lots of room for lots of players because there's such a big marketplace. So you don't have to, because they'll never beat Amazon. Like, they don't have to beat Amazon. They just have to be in play. And of course, I call that Jet Mart, because we'll see where Jet and Walmart ultimately end up going. But let me talk about how their business model is and why Walmart paid $3.3 billion. They have a real-time pricing scheme. So if you're on Amazon, you put something in your cart, you put it in your cart. You put something else in your cart, that's another thing in there. Now you've got 2 things. But there's no pricing change for that. Even if you put 2 of the same thing in your cart on Amazon, you don't get a discount. They don't cross-sell you very effectively. It's just you're buying stuff and you're putting it in there, and that's great. And if you get to $35, you get free shipping, or if you're a Prime member. But on Jet, you get volume discounts. The more you buy, the more you save. You get, and this can either be the more dollar amount or the more items. They also give a debit card discount. And basically what they did is they looked at that whole transaction chain of how a consumer buys, and they found all these little pivot points where they could save a nickel, save a dime, save a dollar, save whatever for the customer. And that's the first part. The second part is, if you've ever gone and bought a car, the longer you're there, the more likely you are to buy a car. Things, and you're starting to build up this investment and time, and they call that the stickiness factor in the online world. The longer you're there doing all these different things and looking at all these different deals and these variations and permutations, the more likely you're going to add stuff to the cart, and the more likely you're going to complete that transaction. You can get a return if you waive your right to a free return. You can get a discount if you waive your right to a free return. They have this whole scheme where if you shop at different vendors and pay like $150 on another company's site, and you tell Jet, they'll give you Jet Cash. So you can they get you 150 points on the Jet site. They take they didn't exactly tell me how much, but they take a significant portion of the commission that you as a seller pay them to market on the jet.com site, and they use it to lower prices to the consumer. They also have the whole shipping schema. They also have, this isn't live yet, but they will have an email discount, which I'm really excited about if they would just activate it. If you're a customer buying and you agree to give me your email and then thus allowing me to market after the purchase to you, for $3, $2, whatever it is kind of that I offer you, I get your email, and Jet's okay with me marketing to you. that's a no-no on Amazon. So I sort of feel like it's sort of like the experience kind of feels like that progressive slot machine. You almost won, you almost won, you won a little, almost won, almost won, and it just sort of keeps you in this buying loop, which for sellers is huge. So this is sort of what the Jet screen looks like as a shopper. And you can see you've got your toothpaste. If the starting price is $5.56. If I opt out of a free return on toothpaste, which I'm pretty likely to do, I would get another 6 cents off. If I use my debit card, I would get more money off. If I do both, they give you like even more between than you would get just doing one or the other. And then you can see on the bottom that you get more if you buy more units of it. So every single component works to encourage you to, I'm going to get a little close, I made it a little bit bigger, but to encourage you to buy more and do different things and stay more engaged in the whole process. And it's all changing as you hit a button. All these different things like sort of calculate through. What's that? Is that a pachinko machine where the little ball drops down and goes through all the pins? And it's sort of this live experience. And as a seller, if you had dental floss and a toothbrush, that would be co-marketed here, so that if you add the toothbrush to here, you'll get a discount. If you add the dental floss in as well, you get another discount. And they just dynamically reprice the product on the fly based on a whole bunch of stuff that's set up in the background to give the consumer the most options and the most reason to fill the cart up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Just explain that.
We had someone that had a question real quick here.
Oh, sure, correct.
John had a question. He said, how big is JetMart compared to Amazon and eBay?
Well, I haven't, I just saw something very recently. So before Q4, Jet was about $1 billion compared to the rough $100 billion number that Amazon is. And Walmart was about $14 billion. And I think Walmart, and I don't have a good eBay number. I apologize. I've yet to land on one because eBay sales are different than what eBay reports as income because they report their fees. But they're very strong. I think it was Amazon, eBay, Walmart were like the top 3, I believe. Walmart was, the most important thing to remember about Walmart is year on year, their growth was always far, far, far behind Amazon's. So they may have grown year on year, but it was like 6% until this quarter where they grew 30%, 29%. So I'm exaggerating a tad there. So they had a huge pickup quarter on quarter, and it's because of some of the ways that they're changing their business model to be more aggressive. So when they bought Jet, all the product that was on Jet went over to Walmart, and all the Walmart product went over to Jet, so that they shared their catalog. And that's probably one of the first things they did to make as much available as possible. I believe Jet, that quarter made Walmart move to number 2. So they're definitely contenders in this race, and obviously they've got a huge amount of ground to cover to meet, or you know, like I said, I don't care if they beat Amazon, they just got to stay on par, get on and stay on par. So, you know, they're not Amazonian, and I don't sell as much on Jet as I do on Amazon.
Well, I think that, yeah, they just have to stay on par with Amazon because Amazon is kind of helping them anyway, because with their restrictions and their brand register, where you have to go in there and you got to pay $1,500 to sell this item or this brand or that. So they're kind of helping the other platforms. I mean, if you think about it, Amazon is kind of saying, hey, listen, we don't want this on here. We're getting too big, and we really need other marketplaces, but they don't want the competition, but they're kind of creating their competition by a lot of the barriers that they're putting up.
I agree, and I think it's because I just heard recently that if you want to sell on Amazon now, they are actually finally gating new sellers. I know they did it in Q4 with the FBA, but I hear they're actually looking at new sellers now and saying, well, you know, what kind of credentials do you have? Do you have a tax ID? Have you sold anything before? We're only going to let you list a few things. And I find it really odd with all the counterfeiting issues, which could totally destroy them. I mean, if I bought something and, 1 out of every 5 times I got something that broke on contact, I'd start getting really discouraged about buying something from Amazon. So they've got to battle that, and they've got no barrier to entry in terms of signing up as a new account. They have, and I mean, they've got everything wired, but they've got some issues. And when you sell on Jet, when I list a product on Jet, I am offering it to the Jet catalog. I am not offering it to the Jet customer. When I sell, I'm selling to Jet. So I don't pay sales tax or collect or remit sales tax, because I'm a distributor, essentially, more like a drop shipper. So I'm just reselling to another reseller, and they are controlling that interaction, whether or not my product, and watching me. And if there's too many times that my product fails, I'm off, I'm out, I'm suspended. If I cancel too much, I'm suspended, my orders. They're trying to make us good citizens. And again, I think when Mark left Amazon, he saw all the issues they were having from the inside and said, all right, you know what? An item does not get to go on our catalog until we've vetted it. And we're not going to have 10, we're not going to have one box, container of Tide and 2 containers of Tide, and Tide with a bleach stick, and Tide this way and that way and the other way. We're going to have 1 container of Tide and 1 offering of Tide in that, consume that 32-ounce jug. We're not going to have 17 listings, because that was the problem with eBay, is that you would have that same thing of Tide, and one would be a taped box, one would be brand new, one would be this, that, and the other thing. And Amazon, unfortunately, has had the same thing happen to it, because people can put multiple listings up, right?
Exactly.
And that you're not supposed to, but the door's open.
Yeah, and I see that a lot in Amazon, where you'll see Tide. You'll even see it by the same seller 4 different times, the same listing. And
Yeah.
I've called them out on Amazon about that. And the problem with Amazon, they're just too big. Their staff isn't trained properly, and they really don't have the resources to train them the way they need to. I fight them all the time on feedback on stuff I know that I can get removed. And I'm saying, listen, you're wasting my time. You're wasting your time. Just properly train these people. But they're so overwhelmed with their workload and so many things that they're doing that they don't really have time to do it. We have another question from Wes. He says, and I think it kind of pertains to what you were just showing here with the discounts.
Okay.
It says, how do you set your product price with all these discounts being figured into the sales?
Well, I will say this: you should probably have some decent math skills and know your margins and your products really well. It's difficult to get approved on Jet. I feel like, and I have this in a later slide, but I feel like you need to be a professional. So if you're a hobby seller, they probably won't allow you to get on the platform. So if you're a professional, you know what your margins are. So for example, I sell something on FBA on Amazon for $21. I would price it the same price on Jet, but I also charge an order fee. I don't charge extra shipping. I charge like a $3 order fee, which sort of offsets my multi-channel fulfillment additional cost when Amazon fulfills my Jet orders. And the reason I'm doing that $3 is because if they buy 2 of them, I might give them 2% off as well. And that $3 is sort of covering my multi-channel fulfillment. It's covering my different discounts. Now, some of the discounts come from Jet, some of them come from the seller. So it's just a matter of the way you look at your business, where I look at it in the aggregate. On Jet, I'm going to sell a lot more things per order on average than I do on Amazon. So for example, my biggest sale ever, from maybe complexity, dollar amount, whatever, although I did have one bigger sale in my history, but this was a $350 order on Jet that was comprised of 15 items and 6 SKUs. And that same, and then I gave them discounts for multiple units. I gave them discounts for a dollar amount. They waived their right to return, so they got a discount for right to free return. They can still return, but they have to pay for it to come back. And that same order on Amazon would never have occurred in a bundle of 15 items. They've never had an order of that many items that big across multiple SKUs. I will have had, you know, like one of this, one of this, one of this on occasion, but generally speaking, nothing that complex with my product mix. So all said and done, I sat there and I said, how much did this cost me? How much did this cost me? And at the end of the day, with the volume discounts versus what paying it on Amazon would have charged me, a per order fee, blah, 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 it was just about break even. I think I made like $1 or $2 more on Jet than I did on Amazon, but you know, on a $350 order, who cares? And the best part of it is I sold 15 more products, and I'm still selling all day long on Amazon, but I had that opportunity to sell, you know, a bunch more stuff on another platform geared to get as many things in that shopping cart as possible.
Yeah. We have another question here from, it looks like his name is Cam. He said, how is Jet for private label products?
Well, I do have a slide on that later too as well, but we have some people that are selling their private label products and they sell them all day long. It just depends what it is. They happen to do speaker mounts. So they're selling, I guess, like TV mounts and stuff to put on the wall, and they have a good amount of orders there. What Jet is going to do is going to look at your private label product, and it's going to say, okay, you know, it may take a slightly longer time to get it approved because it's not going to match a UPC. However, if you've already got it on Amazon, they'll probably go look at it on Amazon as well and say, okay, yeah, you know, we know what that is. If you're going direct to Jet, it might take a bit longer. Okay?
Okay, we can continue on this now. We'll take some questions in a little bit.
Okay, this is just a comparison of an order that Money had put together. And you can see there was a volume discount for $3.38 and a Waive Returns that amounted to that. They didn't have to pay a Prime fee or a free, and they got free shipping. Some of the things were the Bounty paper towels were exactly the same price on both platforms, but the Tide detergent was much less on Jet, potentially because, and it doesn't always work out this way, it depends on what it is you're looking at. But they're trying to be very aggressive. They're trying to get acquire their customers. And if you don't want Jet to discount your price, you can turn a map option on, and then they won't do that. But what happens, and this is probably everybody's going, what? I'm selling it to Jet for $21. Jet can turn around and sell it to the customer for $15. They still pay me my $21. What they do with it after they buy from me is immaterial to me, unless I have a map concern, you know, with either it's a wholesale product or it's my private label product and I don't want it to be discounted, you know, etc. But essentially, that is, you're offering them these products and they are doing with them what they think makes the most sense competitively, or they get that basket filled. So a little close-up of volume discount. You can set dozens of different kinds of things up. This is an example of a bulk discount. So if they buy 2 products for my mix, I don't know if I'm using this one or not. I think I simplified it more, but just for explanation. So you can say, all right, if they buy 2 products from me in the $0 to $25 range, I'll give them 2% off. If they buy 3 in the 25 to 50, I'll give them 2.5% off, et cetera, et cetera. And those little percentages, they populate and pepper through the transaction to encourage people to put more and more stuff into their basket. They don't charge you a fee. There's no monthly fee to list on Jet. They charge 18 to 15% commission. I didn't realize the other day, but I was making a ton more money on my grocery items. They only charge 8% commission on grocery, where Amazon is 15%. That's probably dates back to how they started with grocery and house, you know, and like Tide and those kind of items. And let's see. This is what Waive Return looks like. You can say, so you can offer a bigger, like if you sold microwave ovens, you'd probably offer a bigger wave of free returns for a microwave oven than you might do for a toaster. because it's, some things you just don't want back. You don't want them unboxed, etc. Clothing, you might offer them a bigger return, not to bring it back. I sell beauty products, so it's, I offer a tiny bit for them not to return it because stuff gets damaged in shipping. Stuff does not go through shipping that well. I have everything in FBA right now. I haven't started doing my merchant fulfilled on Jet, although I'm doing it on Walmart. I think it's got a full enough plate. But you can set up, and it depends on what your attitude is, because there's no quote unquote buy box. You're competing with other people offering their stuff to Jet. So if I have Tide and you have Tide, but I'm on the East Coast and the customer's on the East Coast, I might give a bigger shipping discount if I'm doing merchant fulfilled. Similarly, if the customer's on the West Coast and you're on the West Coast, you would do the same. But I might actually even discount to the West Coast just to get that customer if I felt there was some advantage in it overall with being able to fill my cart up. But it's all strategy and math and your margins and how much you feel that you can afford to do. And to be honest, I played with it all to see what would happen. Free shipping, free this, this margin, whatever, just trying to experiment and see what happens. Okay, this is just something that Jet just gives them because they pay less, so they give it right to them. This is an example of all the different companies that they have that will give you Jet Cash. Should probably try one of these and see what happens. I haven't tried it out yet. And this is the big ta-da moment. So on average, Jet is 1.5 units per order versus Amazon's 1.1 units per order. It doesn't seem like a lot in the abstract, but when you do the percentage, it's pretty big. And I've seen it happen. I have a lot more multi-unit orders than I do on Amazon. And then this is a question I've been asked, is it all grocery? Is it all, it's everything. It's pretty much anything that is on Amazon will sell on Jet. Maybe just not as much until they get bigger. When I've done this presentation in front of people, I usually ask people to tell me if they've ever even heard of Jet or if they've sold anything or if they're on it. I have to say in the last year, I've seen a lot more hands go up. And this is where their customers have grown over time. This is about how many products they have, although this is, I haven't been able to get an updated information for where they are right now after Q4, because I believe Walmart gave them a lot more product and vice versa. But what's interesting is a lot of what's sold, 2/3 of it are from people like us, third-party marketplace sellers.
So they're basically doing the same kind of business model as Amazon, where the third-party sellers built Amazon.
And that's what's fueling Walmart's growth, I believe, because it used to be impossible to become a Walmart marketplace seller, and they've really opened the doors on that. And there's a lot more sellers on Walmart now. And the number one rule in retail is, what's the best way to sell product? And I remember getting this in college, and they're saying, oh, well, really nice lighting and have lots of store employees. And teachers, professors, have the stuff people want to buy when they want to buy it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
So I have a couple of questions. One is on the returns. You say they waived the free returns.
Right.
So if they waive the free returns and they still, obviously, Jet's still going to let them return it. So if they return it, they have to pay the return. So you're only getting back, you're not losing the shipping back to you, but you are losing the product coming back to you, correct?
Well, the product comes back to you. Right. So the way that a Jet return happens is, and I had to have it happen to fully understand it because it's very strange versus Amazon. So the person wants to return it because they thought they were ordering the yellow one, and oh no, I didn't want white, I wanted yellow. So they return it to Jet. Jet refunds them and then tells you that the yellow shirt is coming back. The yellow shirt comes back, and then you tell Jet if it's okay. If it's in resellable condition, you say, okay, yep, I'm good, that's fine. If it's ripped out of the paper, you're like, listen, I gotta repackage this. and they waive their right to return this. So I'm going to charge you for the shipping, and I'm going to charge you for the reboxing fee. If the thing is totally destroyed or it's not even the right product, I had something come back and like, this is not what I sent them. They will, you can say, I won't take it back because it's damaged beyond repair. So I will not refund. And you are not refunding Jet. The customer is done. They're over with. They're out of the picture. You're actually just dealing, which I didn't understand at first, because I actually had to call them a couple times and said, this is out of the box, this is whatever. They're like, oh, but whatever you think is fair, and at least that's the way it is now. And obviously, every single return you said, oh, damage beyond repair, they would start to get a little bit suspicious and perhaps be that. But I've gone back and said to them, first they waive their right to free return, so I'm taking the shipping back, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And then the next time it was just very damaged, so I said, I have to throw this away. And they said, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of the opposite of Amazon, because Amazon, you got to take images and fight tooth and nail to say, hey, listen, I sent it brand new, I got it back, and it's a used piece. It's not even the same piece. Where you're saying with Jet is basically saying, okay, we're on the honor system, we're going to trust you. And leave it up to you that this is what went on, and that we're going to reimburse you. However, if it becomes a patent, then we have a problem with it. Where Amazon doesn't give you the option of the patent. Amazon just basically says, I don't believe you, show me images, and if we look at the images, and we're going to decide whether or not we're going to give you anything back or not. So it's kind of Amazon playing hardball, and Jet being more, it sounds like to me, Jet's more seller friendly.
I don't know if they are, but they've got, like, I thought about that. I said, that doesn't sound right to me. Nobody's seller friendly.
Yeah.
And I'm so suspicious to begin with, just like, but I thought, what they're doing is they've got the math on their side. So if every single return you get is destroyed, no. If you take a return and you swallow your bitter pill and all right, that's the cost of doing business, blah, 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 they're fine. I think as long as you're honest and straightforward with them, it's fine. Like there's an issue where Amazon doesn't always ship promptly, right? So I got a warning notice that my item had not shipped yet, and I was in breach. And I was like, and I called them and I explained to them what happened. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. We know. We can see what node it came from. So, if it happens, if you get 10 orders and it happens in 9 out of 10 orders, that's not good. But we can see what's going on. Like in Q4, it was just ridiculous. And they knew it was coming from FBA, so they were accommodating for that. Which is the other nice thing. You can actually call and talk to someone that is local, well-trained. They're not open so much on the weekend, but 9 to 9, something like that during the week. But you get somebody that, if they don't know the answer, says, hang on a second, and goes and asks somebody, and if they can't find out, they actually call you back. And it's like customer service the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Not the, like, do I really want to spend? And some of our customers are like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, just call and ask them. And they're like, oh, like I have time to spend a half an hour in stupid land. Like, not stupid land. And they were like, wow, yeah.
Yeah. We all know about the Amazon stupid land. We don't want to go there.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I have that energy to do. It could go well or not. It's like, I want the special phone number, but it doesn't exist apparently. All right. Oh, and the last thing on that, the thing I see in Jet still, there are a lot of product holes. So we've had customers go on and, like one customer sells electronic items that just weren't on Jet, and he's killing it because he's the only one on Jet. And a couple other things we've seen people go on and they just, some people takes a while. They don't, their products are maybe a little obscure, but there are some big gaps, and we've seen some really good success with that. All right, so this is an earlier question. This is my rough order of magnitude of where things were. And this is roughly an estimated number for the end of 2016, but it's not updated for final numbers, because I think I did this in November. It's an estimate. and then the question we asked before, should you sell on Jet? And they did an Amazon survey, and some of the big, quote unquote, 1 million plus sellers, that was their goal this coming year, is to get selling on Jet, because they recognized that there was opportunity on all these different marketplaces and the need to diversify. In terms of smaller sellers, it was their number 2 choice was to get their own website going. So that's where that is. So how is listing on Jet? I've alluded to this before, how it's different, but there's only 1 box of Tide and 1 32-ounce gallon of Tide, but there's not 7 versions of 1 box of Tide. And if there's 2 boxes of Tide, it's right with the 1 box of Tide, and they control that catalog, and sellers aren't as able to manipulate it. I'm sure there's lots of places they left open, but with bundles and stuff, could sort of be construed as a manipulation. But if you have a bundle of 2, it's going in it's just going to be an addendum to the listing of 1.
So basically, they don't have like 17 sellers selling the same Tide and having that race to the bottom.
But you can't see it. You can't see. So they're looking at Amazon, they're looking at Walmart, they're looking at other marketplaces to see what the competitive price is. So that's a negative. So if you have something that's getting destroyed on Amazon, it's not going to help you to get it over here. It's just as visible. So it's $9. If it should be $19 and it's $9 on Amazon, there's not really a safe place to go sell it on Jet. But by the same token, if you don't see 17 sellers on Jet. The items on Jet are the availability is more obscure because you're offering it to the Jet algorithm, and that algorithm is looking at you and saying, okay, you and I, John, are both selling this product for $21. You're on the East Coast, the customer's on the East Coast. I see you have a little bit cheaper shipping. You are in the front for that buy box. But then the customer also wants to get a related product. So maybe I'm going to get the buy box because now they're going to take 2 offers, right? They're going to take, go back to the toothpaste and the toothbrush. Right. But then you have another discount that's for something that's going to make you, quote unquote, be the winning offer again between your shipping discount, so that's kind of how it works.
So it's competing for different whatever the offers are that the seller has. Mm-hmm. You could have the same identical price. What I find that interesting is that Amazon is kind of doing that now a little bit too with the East Coast, West Coast. Because that's why Amazon makes you send stuff all over the country, because if the buyer's out in California, it doesn't matter if you have a cheaper price in New York. If they can't get it to them in their time frame, they're going to give it to them on the other side of the country because it's cheaper for them.
Yeah, and that's also their algorithm too, because they've got the Amazon algorithm has to manage a couple different things. They've got to get that 2-day shipping thing happening. And they've got to get the best price to the customer. And, sometimes you look at stuff and you're like, why are they giving me that price? That's a better, like, I don't understand. Like, sometimes there's other cheaper prices that they're not showing you. And, sometimes I can understand, and maybe it's a lesser seller because they haven't been around so long, so they don't have as many reviews. But sometimes I just can't figure out why. And it's probably stuff like that. So the process again is that, they have a very clean catalog because they're matching everything. Initially, they were doing it by hand, which was utterly insane. When I started in January, I loaded like 500 products, and for 30 days, nothing got approved. Around 60 days, I think I had 30 things approved. It took another 2 months to get up to like 100 things, and then finally now most of them are approved. But now we see the same thing happening with sellers coming on, and it goes a lot faster because their catalog's bigger that they can reference, so they can do it against a UPC code. They're also using the ASIN, so they can use an ASIN to track things, and they're getting things done. But they're a startup, so they still have lots of issues to resolve. You have to do things a little different with your parent-childing, which can get in the way. But it's like anything else. The more effort you put into it, the more results you see. So I decided I put a lot of effort into it and gave it to my VA. I don't do tedious too well. And let's see. So initially their catalog team was really overwhelmed when they were doing everything manually. It's gotten better. They were actually prioritizing. They would give me priority because I had 500 things and you only had 50 things, but we've seen that sort of evaporate. They're just putting more and more things in place to get it faster and better, because it's like, wow, this is not tenable to have you doing each one by hand. So jet cells, we fulfill. So we're sort of like a kind of a drop shipper, but not really. Like, you can't actually work a drop shipper model. You'll never make their timelines. You don't pay sales tax or collect it, and you aren't seen until the very, very, very end of the transaction. So when the customer is paying, putting their credit card number in, they'll see that your seller name will show up and that you're the one fulfilling it. They do all the search optimization, so your description, your title, your bullets, everything should be in there. There isn't any keywording at this point. They just started doing product reviews, but they take that initiative and do the product reviews. And you have to watch your multi-packs, because a lot of stuff comes out of Amazon, so it's good to just eliminate your multi-packs and figure out how to put those in the catalog as, if I've got a 3-pack, it goes in as a 3-pack. So, those kind of basic stuff. Let's see. Good sellers, if no used items, only new. You have to get approval for every item, and they're more choosy. You have no seller centrals type interface, which is an issue. You have to acknowledge your orders within 15 minutes. Most of the APIs, ours included out there, automatically do that and have that in the process flow, so that happens. You have to process, fill, and ship after you've acknowledged that you can take the order in that 15 minutes within 1 business day, and you have to have the customer needs to receive it within 5 days of the order with a tracking number. And then you're supposed to update your SKU your SKU inventory information once every 24 hours. We find our API does it every 5 minutes, because between doing FBA with Amazon, especially in Q4, things going in, things going out, you need to be much more on top of it. And it's really important to have updated inventory information because of that toothpaste, toothbrush, and dental floss thing. You want to get in front of that buy box with as many, comparable products, so that they have as much to offer and get that shopping cart filled up as much as possible. Again, I would advise anybody that's thinking of doing Jet to go get approved and get selling on there as soon as possible. I don't know where it's going to go, but I have seen some products get closed out because they've got enough vendors. It's mostly in the grocery category. But when we've gone back and said, why are these excluded? And we've got sufficient number of vendors that we don't need to include anymore in the algorithm. We're covered geographically and numerically. And the costs to sell are comparable to the other marketplaces like Amazon. There's no monthly fee, but they do take a percentage of your commissions and put it back into product discounts or incentives. And we've talked about that. Let's see if there's anything I've left out. Yep, we've talked about that. Okay. So what model would be good? We've talked about private label, and really any model works on here. For the OA and RA, though technically you're not supposed to OA and RA on Jet, you're supposed to fully own your product, but I gotta believe some of our customers on our platform are doing OA and RA. For them, it's really important to keep their catalog updated and constantly, make sure they're loading their new listings. So it may sell out right away in Amazon, but if it doesn't, you've got another channel in Jet for it to go once it gets approved. And we've seen some good results with the people who I largely suspect are RAOA doing pretty well. Private label, again, I've talked about that. And wholesale is great because it'll get matched really quickly. But then again, down the road could be more open to competition. The same thing. No shocker here.
We've seen a lot of Walmart and Jet, as well as Amazon. We see a lot of Walmart, Jet, or Amazon Jet to Jet flips, Walmart to Walmart
Yeah,
flips,
I saw that.
where
Yeah,
they actually buy it on Jet and flip it back on Jet.
that's hysterical.
We have we have clients that we fulfill for that do that, and we have a lot of them that do that for Walmart. Cracks me up because Walmart, but for people don't understand about Walmart stores and their online are very different. And in a store, they may have an item that has been in the store for a while.
Right.
It might be in demand on. I've seen it where my clients, and we do it too with Walmart flips. We've had an item where we bought it at $15 and sold it for $80 online on Walmart.
Wow.
And
They are merging their entire, so they have different buyers for online and offline, but they just announced that they're merging those buying groups into one, and they're going to take everything. So they would buy like, I don't know, piggy banks, 10,000 piggy banks for the stores and another 500 to sell online. And now which was ridiculous because the people who are selling the piggy banks are like, I have to meet 2 different rules, 2 different regulations, 2 different processes. So they've just merged those 2 groups, and then they're also going to make everything that's available in their store available online as well. So I don't know if that flipping is going to get kind of shut down a little bit, but maybe. But you can still flip between Jet probably.
yeah, it's crazy. We have a question that wants to know about handmade items, and I thought at one point Jet did not want handmade items.
I mean, if they're handmade items and they're new, you could try it. I don't think they're averse to it. You need a UPC code of some kind. If you could buy it with like, the barcode companies, I think that would work. They'd have some way to identify it. I don't see why they wouldn't take it. I mean, they might, if your whole Amazon catalog was handmade, or if you referred them to Etsy when you're trying to get approved, that might be a little bit of a struggle, but I can't see why it would be. You can sell it on Amazon, right? So.
Yeah, I know you can't sell them on Shopify, but I know you can sell them on Amazon. And I thought in the beginning, I mean, it could have been way long ago. Jet's come a long way, like you said, from 1 million to Walmart buying them out for 3.3 billion. So their platform could be changing, because I know Walmart's online platform, like you said, they're letting. I mean, there's so many products in there that are on Walmart now that you would never thought you could get from Walmart, but they're there.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think you could try it. I mean, why wouldn't that just be essentially private label, right?
Yeah.
Crafty. So the fact that they have no seller interface, once you get approved, means you either have to build or buy. This is commercial time for our API, but if there's no user interface, you have to either build or rent one. And there's a lot of companies out there like us where. But that makes sure that it does a couple of things. It needs to make sure that it automatically acknowledges the order, because you will get email after email from Jet if you don't acknowledge the order, and you will be off the platform, very quickly. You need to make sure your inventory is updated at least once every 24 hours, but I recommend, especially with the volumes in Q4, that you get something that is continuously updating your inventory. And if it's continually updating your inventory via FBA, that it automatically communicates back and forth to FBA, which most of them should do. And it also allows you to acknowledge and process returns. Another thing is make sure you check your customer service on your API. Whoever your provider is, make sure they can actually answer you on a timely basis. I would ask them, like, what's your usual time to answer a question, and anything over 24 hours as a service level agreement, I would be like, eek, really? That's kind of long, because you don't want to leave Jet waiting that long when there's something you don't understand why it's happening. You should be able to easily download your catalog from Amazon and upload it into Jet without actually having to ask anyone to help you. There's 1 or 2 providers out there where you have to send an email into help desk to get it done. Let's see, auto update your listings to Jet. Let's make sure that the inventory is synchronized, and also be able to identify that you've got map restrictions, if that's the thing. For like, a lot of wholesalers cannot sell for something lower on then they're supposed to. So you don't want Jet to be out there going, it's $14.99, and then they put it in the cart and see that it's fulfilled by you, and your vendor's like, you're out, because you're supposed to be selling it for $29.99.
Yeah, especially with map pricing and stuff like that. You don't want to be messing with that. We have a question from, I think it's Miles, Milas, and they're asking, can you list your Amazon store link on the Jet application?
No. Because you can't even, how would you do that on any, how would that, like, help me understand that better. Like, how would you list your store link? Inside a listing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're not even listing your own products. Jet's listing products that it has you tethered to in the back. So even if you had your store name in the listing as a bullet, it probably wouldn't make it onto the part the customer sees. So
let's see. We have a couple more. Well, I think they just answered and said, okay.
I really can't. I mean, the one marketing opportunity that they have yet to open up is being able to get that email. And maybe that was an idea before Walmart bought them, but I was really hoping that was a great way to build my list. That, I don't know if that's ever going to actually come to fruition. It still says TBA or to be announced or to be determined. I don't remember which one, but so how much can you sell? The more you do, the more you work it, the more you can sell. Like I have my VA downloading my listings every other day. If I had anything new, he uploads them into Jet, does any, if anything fails to upload, he fixes it. He looks at pricing. He just generally takes cares and feeds my listings on Jet. So I laugh because I'm like, I keep forgetting he's doing that. And then I'll sell something and I'll see it being fulfilled through FBA, and I'm like, what the heck? Oh, nice. So I need to probably do that with my eBay listings and teach them how to use Joe Lister, so I don't have to do that. I'm awful at doing that too. And what I've seen is a couple things. So over time, I'm selling more and more as time goes by, and I think my suspicion, nobody knows, is I think they trust me more. I think they kind of throttle you initially and let you do one or two and see how you fulfill and how it's received by the customer, and then maybe do a little bit more and a little bit more. I know some people are like, it's taking too long to get my listings approved. I'm not selling anything. And I'm like, I've only made 2 sales. And it's like, I think the feeling is, and it's just my suspicion, that they're going to see how you are as a seller and how the product is getting there and the delivery time. And you're like, well, I'm all FBA, it's fine. It's like, yeah, I think they want to see what comes out on the other end and how the customer receives that. Was it, a junky product? Was it a junky whatever? So they are very numbers oriented, and I'm sure they've got a whole metrics database that we're not even aware they've built to try to analyze you as a seller and see where you are, and then make that determination before they start opening up the sales channel more for you. I see, some customers are killing it right out of the gate. Other customers, not so much. Depends on your product mix. Probably, if you do well on Amazon, you'll do well, comparatively speaking, on Jet. Again, it's a percentage of it. I'm looking for ancillary revenue. I'm looking to invest and build with Jet over time, and Walmart ultimately over time to make it a really strong additional channel.
Yeah, you're looking for multiple channels of income is what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're trying to not put all your eggs in one basket. My question is with Jet. Does Jet look at your statistics like on Amazon? For instance, if I was to sell on Jet, which we do, I don't think we do a whole lot. John Jr. controls that for me. But when we signed up, do they look at you and say, wow, here's a guy that, is a multi-million-dollar seller and has no negative feedbacks lifetime on Amazon?
Yes. So they look at a lot of things. So one of the things they look at is they see, a lot of people are like, I want to get on Jet. They turn me down. I'm like, well, do you have a website? No. Well, go get a website. What they're really looking for are legitimate business people that are they're not just doing this to make some extra cash for summer vacation. Not that that's a negative, but they're looking for people who can actually want to sell more product, want to sell broader products, want to, as they change something down the road, get, like on Amazon, they do all these new programs. They want they want sellers that are going to be investing time and energy to grow their own business and in turn help Jet grow. So they're looking, if you have a website, they're looking on Amazon to see what your rating is and how much you sell on Amazon. They're looking to see what your how many reviews you have. What are some of your products? Do you have a brick and mortar? They love it if you have a brick and mortar. They really just want to make sure that you are legitimate. I don't know how to say it any other way. Not that not having a website and not only selling on Amazon makes you illegitimate, but you're building your business, so in turn you'll build Jets. I guess that's the sense that I get.
Okay, so we have another question from Cam. It says, is there advertising or promos in Jet similar to sponsored ads? That's a great question.
Nope, they don't have anything yet.
So they don't have that
yet. They do
yet.
it themselves, but there's no way for you to do it for yourself. There's no, like, if they just started doing reviews, but you don't have any control of it. And if you think about it, that's what happened on Amazon, right? They killed all the reviews because they were being gamed. And to some extent, I'm guessing Jet feels the sponsored ads and all that stuff is some sort of gaming that they're not controlling. They want to do things by the numbers. So they're going to grow a product that has intrinsic value, but I'm just guessing. I don't know, but there's nothing.
We have a question from Paris too, says, so is media rate shipping not an option because they require the product to reach the customer in 5 days? Is there an exception for media?
I don't think so. I think it has to get there. You can't do media. So first class.
So the 5 days is the requirements.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to go and ask them, but I'm pretty sure no.
My thing is, when you're using like Amazon, we actually use Amazon, and we're actually, because the volume that we do merchant fulfill, we actually have the Prime badge too.
Yeah, me too.
So we can sell the Amazon
It's a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great thing though. I mean, that really, when you get, I don't think people understand, when you get that Prime badge, man, it gives you a lot more advantages than when you didn't have it.
Yeah.
And we see that all the time. Now, how do you compete with that Prime badge on Jet as far as pricing? Because you've got to price accordingly to where your shipping isn't going to be as cheap as actually what Amazon's getting, especially if you have the Prime badge.
Right. So again, that has to go back to your math. So if you have a Prime badge, you're merchant fulfilling, you are going to have the same requirements to meet Prime on Jet, right? So what you're selling Prime, I don't know, whatever it is, you have to have it out in 2 days. There's no requirement on Jet to have it out in 2 days, so you can price that differently for that.
Right.
You just have to do your math, I guess, to figure out how that makes sense for you to offer that Prime badge, the merchant fulfilled Prime product on Jet. You get more time, so you don't have to charge as much. You might just have to have a different algorithm for those kind of products.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is, if they've got 5 days, it has to get out into the customer. And what if does the Jet customer have the option of saying, can I get it in 2 days? It's a birthday coming up, I need it in 2 days.
I don't know. That's a good question. I should know that answer. I'll see if there's a overnight shipping option. Yeah, there is. There is an overnight shipping option. Yeah, you can pick that, and you can. Yeah, I knew this. You can set different tiers. So I add $3 an order for regular standard, but I add like $10 an order for the next level, I think, and then there's like premium, and I think I've got, I don't remember what I set it for. It may have been 6 and 10 respectively. Yeah, you can set that up to cover that additional cost, and they can pick that.
We have another question. We'll get some good questions here. Another question is there a way to see how well items are selling on Jet, similar to Amazon's BSR?
Yeah. No, but they give you, so I always, anybody asks me that question, I was like, well, pretty much anything selling really well on Amazon would likely, from what I've seen anecdotally, sell really well on Jet. But they do give you a list of the top 1,000 items selling on Jet in every single major category, which gives you an idea. And I did ask them, and I haven't looked at it in a long time, but in the early days they said, so this list only has 857 items on it. Does that mean you stop keeping track on 858, or there are only 857 items in the category? Which at the time, when we first started, could have been the actual case. But they do have that list, and that all that can tell you, and it's by product. It does say, Schick razors or whatever it says. So that's something, but there's no BSRs.
Yeah, they're still growing too. So I mean, and as Walmart has taken over and bought them, I'm sure they're only going to get better because Walmart's going to continue to invest in them.
And I wonder what kind of spin. Now, Mark Lohr manages Walmart.com and Jet.com. So Jet.com manages Walmart's online. So it'll be interesting to see how these two, I said somewhere in one of these slides, it's like, it's going to be a lot of good, interesting material to chew on to see how this plays out, because they've literally openly said they declare war on Amazon. And Walmart and Jet, I have another slide, but Walmart has a distribution system already, right? So everywhere. They're already, you can say, I need to pick this up from Walmart. I need to pick up an inflatable, horrible Mickey Mouse for the front yard for, holiday time. And you drive up and, hit your app, and somebody walks out of the store with it and gives it to you in your car, and there's Walmarts everywhere. So they can really bring that last mile advantage where Amazon, as many warehouses as they have, still has no stores. So it'll be really interesting, if nothing else, just from a entrepreneurial viewpoint, how all this starts panning out over the next 5 years, and where things go. It's just fascinating stuff.
I always, and I'm wondering down the road if Jet and Walmart are going to become one entity and merge on to one platform instead of having a Jet platform and Walmart platform, if they're just going to kind of merge together.
Yeah, my common sense says that's what's going to happen. But I know they bought that dynamic pricing engine, and it does have its moments. Some of the stuff in Jet, they have a bug right now that keeps fulfilling orders that have no inventory, that you've told them has no inventory, that they fix, and then it's horrible. It keeps finding its way. It's like cockroach. It won't ever die. It keeps coming back. They keep killing it, and then a couple weeks later we start seeing it happen again. So that aside, you'll get all that junk fixed. But that dynamic pricing engine is one of the major reasons Walmart bought them, and for them to put that in their system with all those, they're huge. They've got stuff everywhere, and that's a plus, a good thing and a bad thing. So it's a good thing they've got lots of, bells and whistles in all the stores and online and blah, 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 and the distribution centers, but it's also a hard thing to integrate. So I don't know when that'll happen. It's definitely inevitable, but part of me wants it to be more interesting. Part of it me wants to have Jets where they're going to do all this testing and really cool stuff, and Walmart will be after everything's, I don't know, but more likely you're right, John, that's where it'll go. But I would just, in my heart of hearts, just want it to be more complex and interesting.
Are we done with the presentation?
I don't think I have too many more slides, and we can ask questions. I think I had some, let's see, yep. The only nice only nice picture of Walmart that was funny and in good taste. We've talked about that. Yeah, there we go. That tells me I'm done.
I don't think we've got any. I think we've hit on all the questions.
Good. Okay.
I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so
It was a
much.
pleasure having you here. I mean, and all the information that you shared with us today, I appreciate all that. If they want to reach out, if the audience wants to reach out and find out more about you, because I know that you do some things too, that you help people with Jet and stuff like that. So if you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that for them, that'd be good.
Yeah, we have, you can reach us, go to comerchant.com, and there's 2 buttons. You can sign up for a free trial once you're approved for JET. If you just have more questions, you can ask us. Our company also does lots of stuff in terms of account management on Amazon and refunds and a whole bunch of things like that. And any questions, anything at all that we can help you with, we'd be more than happy to do. Any more questions on JET? If you're having trouble getting approved, we've got some cheat sheets. I'm happy to help.
And I want to thank you guys for coming on here today in the middle of the afternoon. Like I said, we have Barbara here, and Barbara's in a snowstorm up there in New York. And
snowing again.
I don't miss those days. I'm from New England, and I don't miss those 2-feet snowstorms. But it was a pleasure having Barbara here, and it's a pleasure having you guys come on here. We know you have other places you can go and other webinars you can be doing, or other things you can be doing this time of the day. Hopefully, a lot of you are from the Northeast and you're getting snowed in, so that's why you're here and you're listening, because you want to learn while you're just sitting there and can't get out of the house. So that's always a great thing. I do have shows coming up Friday. Friday, I have a show coming up, flipping shoes. If you want to know how to do Amazon flips and flipping shoes, I have a show coming up Friday, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have my son, I have Eric Hardwick and Ken Kelly, the founders of Flipping Shoes, and they've got some amazing testimonials and things that they're doing with just getting Amazon shoes and flipping them back on Amazon. It's just an awesome thing that they're doing, and you can find out more about that. I'll be posting it probably sometime Thursday or early Friday. If you want to join that webinar, that'll be another free webinar you guys can actually get on. So again, God bless you all for coming on. I appreciate you as always. Anybody that's looking to just want to learn, and just someone that's struggling and needs to find out how to make money online, that's why I have these guests like Barbara come on here and other guests come on here to help you guys be able to learn and hopefully get out of that situation and be able to live the life that you should be living and always supposed to be living. So again, God bless. And Barbara, it's a pleasure. I hope you don't have to get out and shovel any snow, because that's not fun.
No, that's my husband's job.
Yeah, I outsource it. When I was up there, I would still outsource it.
It's actually my the snowplow's job. I just heard them come through when we were on for the 3rd time today, just through the driveway. But he does the front walk, so he gets bonus points for that.
Did it stop outside, or is it still snowing?
No, it just started again. It's supposed to go till midnight, so it's a lot lighter now. So that's good. But
yeah, that's good. All right. Well, thanks again. You take care, and God bless.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.